Hey, this is Seth at Music Teachers Muse. Tune in Fridays PST at midnight for new episodes. See you there. Hey, welcome back. Today we are talking popular songs you should know by heart, specifically on guitar. But if you're a uke teacher, sometimes you can get away with this. I hate the ukulele. It's an inferior instrument, but it has made me some money, so I deal with it when I have gotten students who want to learn how to play it. So the reason why you want to learn these parts, and honestly, if you played in a cover band with any kind of rock tunes, because most of these are going to be distorted rock riffs, then you should almost certainly know these by now if you've been playing for any reasonable length of time. But the reason why you want to know these is because I've made a list of about 10 or 12, maybe a little bit more, songs that every student, not every student, but a lot of students have requested repeatedly. They're money makers, they're easy, they're simple, the students have fun with them, and they're going to get requested a lot because a lot of them are just popular songs. AC/DC, Leonard Skinner, Metallica, Iron Maiden, White Stripes, Nirvana, Scorpions, Ozzy, Judas Priest, and the Eagles is what I've got mapped out here. So let's jump right into it. First band, let's start at I don't have these in alphabetical order, but the one that we're going to start with first is AC/DC. My best friend Patrick, what's up, man? We've talked about this a lot. He's like, what would I do without that band? Because not everybody, myself included, loves AC/DC. I think they're great. I just honestly, I don't give a shit. They're a great rock band. Their songs are fun. They have proved their legacy. So let's jump right in. And these are easy songs. They're going to make you and me money. So let's have fun and enjoy it. Regardless if you're into it or not, act excited for the student because you're there to inspire. So first one, Back in Black. Together. So that's how you actually, I don't like playing the riff differently than that because this is how they play it on the record. But most people are not going to be able to stretch from 2 to 6 like that. I have big hands, so I can do it. Here's how you teach a student who can't do that. You do the riff besides you do the main part. Actually, before we get to the stretch, you have that. You have this. Most of your students, especially your young kids, are not going to be able to bend at the second fret if they're new to bending. But they're going to want to learn how to play this riff. So you just have them pick, slide, and pull, and then play the rest of it. That's the way you teach them that. And the second part, that one, that's a real bastard for a lot of people. So you get them to play the 7th fret of the low E, and then it's 7, 4, 7, 5, 7, 6, 7, 7. This also teaches them to use all 4 fingers on their fret hand, which we have discussed in a previous episode about they don't use the pinky often enough and it's hard for them to implement. This forces them to do it, makes them play in position, and it sounds like it's supposed to. Remember, when you're teaching songs, it depends on the student's level of ability, whether they're able to execute it or not. Teach it to them in a way that sounds like the song, where they can execute it to where they're learning and it's adding to their process of getting better on this thing. It doesn't have to be 100% accurate. It just has to inspire them to want to keep playing. That's what keeps you employed. That's what makes you money. Next ACD song is Dirty Deeds. She's got it's really easy. You just have an open E power chord and a G note here, A, E, D, E. Now that's too difficult to teach them that. You do it on one string. That last one you can play just on the open D string or 5th fret A string. But the more you make it as much on one string as possible, it's going to be much easier. Because believe it or not, this to this is difficult for some students. Just rolling the finger to the other string, that is going to make it harder for them. So, and then going from E to D, even though it's a very small amount of movement, that's tough for most people to get. It was hard for me as a beginner. It took me forever to get the D chord where my fingers would actually go there when I wanted them to. So that's Dirty Deeds, and you got TNT. That's the whole dang thing. So teach them just that part. Most people just want to learn the riff anyway. They rarely learn the entire song from start to finish. So that one, you can just have them played on one string, 3rd and 5th fret of the low E, or teach them the chords, whichever works. If you do teach them the chords, you want to make sure that the index finger stays on the 2nd fret. Use the middle finger for just this one note, because all it has to do is go, this one just has to roll between the A string and the D string. Okay. Then we have Shook Me All Night Long. Skip the intro. Don't worry about that very first part. Everybody wants to play this. It's very simple. It's G, C add 9, and D. The hardest part is getting them to do the picking. Just do it as I showed you, because that's the way it does go. And I'm trying to use a tone that's representative of AC/DC. This is a very high gain amp. My gain is almost on nothing, but it's still a little more distorted. But you know, that's not as important to the student as playing the part is. If you've been playing guitar a decent amount of time, you know how to dial in a decent enough tone. And if you're teaching and making money, that should be an important thing for you to convey to your students. Okay. Then we have the last one in the AC/DC that's the most requested, maybe more so than the other ones. I say Back in Black and this one, even though Shook Me is their biggest hit, Thunderstruck. Every kid wants to do this. Okay, so there is no other way to teach that, because it's the only possible way you can play it, and it has to be picked. A lot of kids want to. No, you don't do pull-offs. It's not played that way. The next part that goes up here and ends up down here, that's a really hard part to get consistent. And it's a marathon anyway, because Angus played that part all the way through the entire song on the recording. So if you can play that and not screw it up the entire song, kudos to you, because that's a real bitch to accomplish. But just make sure that they do alternate picking. It's a good one for them to work on their alternate picking. And it's good for hand positioning, using the pinky again. You can use the ring finger if you have gigantic hands like me, but try to get them to use the pinky again. Just open 4, open 7, then you go up, play that 8 times, go up a fret, 1/2 step higher, open 5, open 8, and just repeat it. And it's all 16th notes. So I'm not sure what the tempo is, that doesn't matter. Just get them to play the part close to what it sounds like, but make sure they focus on that alternate picking. The next band, Lynyrd Skynyrd, Sweet Home Alabama. The most overplayed song in history of the entire world of recorded music. At least in this at least in the United States anyway. And it's a great song, but Jesus, Lord help me, they got how many albums and people only want to hear this song. But regardless of whatever songs that they have popular, there's a bunch of them, this is the one that people are going to want to learn the most. So I'm here to educate and inform and be as entertaining as possible. So if you need to just teach them the chords, it's literally just D, G, or D, C, and G. So if that's what you can do, is just, and it's easy because this finger stays in the same place. Yes, thank you, producer. And all they have to do is move these 2 fingers from here to here and then to there. Now the main riff or opening part is what everybody wants to learn, but if they have trouble with that, just teach them like I showed you. It's all downstrokes. Just D, D, C, C, G, G. It's actually a C add 9 chord, but it's a G shape. Just teach them that, you'll be golden. But if they want to learn the whole thing, it's, see, I screwed it up. And that's the whole thing. Now, if they can't bend that little half step at the end, just have them slide it up to the 5th fret. It won't sound exactly right, but again, it doesn't have to be absolutely accurate. It just has to be where they are cool with learning it and they are happy with what they're learning. If they practice it, golden, because most of them don't. But that's the one you're going to get the most out of the entire Skynyrd catalog. Okay, let's jump into Metallica. Guess what song we have next? Enter Sandman. Now I'm going to turn on the Ultra channel on this amp because I need more gain than usual for this. You can tell it's a little more distorted than usual. Enter Sandman. Just go straight to the big riff. Don't bother with the 3 minutes of intro before that. Yeah, so that's really self-explanatory. If you're a metal guy in the last 30 years, you should know that riff. You probably know the whole dang song. But most people don't get too much farther than that. It's a really good song for learning how to mute properly, as in anything that they do, any metal, but especially Metallica, where it's just a metric ton of gain and distortion. That is definitely a must. It's one I'd highly recommend, and you're going to be teaching this a lot. You're not going to get any other Metallica song more than this one. And the next Metallica song will be Nothing Else Matters. Super, super, super easy. You don't even have to fret the chord, but I encourage you to tell the students to do that. Just the main part. It's literally open E, G, B, E, and then back to B and G. It's an open E minor chord. If you just get them that far, you're good to go. And then everybody wants to learn the big clean intro, which I honestly never have, but if you just get them that far where they can get that consistently, that's a good start. And it sounds like the song, that's the right part, and you're good to go. Next we have my favorite band, Iron Maiden, Trooper, which is their most famous song and most covered song in their entire catalog. Oop, wrong switch. There we go. So we just got this one. That's actually a pretty simple riff. I always teach it this way. You do the same thing on this part. And then you switch from this finger to this finger. And you go back up to the fifth fret. And the riff actually ends here. The first note that starts, that's where it actually starts over again. But that's how you teach that one. It's super simple, easy. That's the most popular Maiden tune. Let's move on. We're going to turn the volume down a little bit. Deep Purple, Smoke on the Water. This is a first day, try to rope a new student into playing to sign up kind of riff. Now, some people will play it, as I just demonstrated in one lesson. If it's a brand new student, play it on the low E string. But if you're teaching it correctly, it's finger picked on the D and G string. Super simple, sounds cool, people like it, it'll get them excited. They don't have to learn the whole song again, just teach them that part. The next part we've got is the Star Wars theme on one string. Even though this song is in the key of this piece of music, is in the key of B flat. We're going to do it in E because this is a guitar, and a lot of people never learn how to play in the key of B flat anyway. But we're just going to do a quick rundown of that real quick. Just on one string. It's a real pain to do that, but if it's a beginner student or they just want to learn something cool, teach it to them on one string. It's going to be much easier. It's going to make your life easier than trying to teach them to do it on multiple strings. The next one would be Happy Birthday. The student has a parent or a sister or a friend and they want to show off or do something special, teach them how to play Happy Birthday. I did go over that in another episode, but like if you're doing it in E, very simple, gets the job done. I usually try to teach it to them with chords, especially if it's a kid, which is common, where they forget the names of chords and don't memorize them very well, like in G or C or something, to where they can actually play the melody with a chord melody thing. Depends on the student, but if you want the basic idea, it makes for an easy lesson. You get paid and they're happy and they learn a piece of music. So that's how it goes there. The next one you will probably have more requests for this than every other song on this list, and that is Seven Nation Army by White Stripes. My one student, I love him to death. He's a great kid. He's 13. Second I get to his house, he picks up his guitar. He will play that riff 17,000 times. I don't understand how he doesn't get tired of it. I don't understand how people don't get tired of Sweet Home Alabama, but they don't. So again, what would we do without these bands? Because these bands make us money as teachers. So just go with it. Be excited. Might bore the hell out of you, but it's much better than most jobs you'll ever have. So I start out with it's basically two parts. The first thing you hear on the song is a bass line, but the students don't care. It's just literally that. So you have to play it on the low E to even come close to matching the pitch. And you just have this. So G, 5, A5 power chords with eighth notes. And the rest of the whole thing is the main riff just goes up in octaves. So once you get that, just try to get them to play that consistently. They'll have fun with it and it'll be good to go. Next we've got Nirvana, Smells Like Teen Spirit. Everybody wants to learn the main riff. So very simple, it's just a power chord on the lowest 2 or 3 strings. I always try to get them to play the 3-string chord, because if they only do this, then when you teach them a full bar chord, they have a real bastard of a time getting that pinky to get in there, and it just makes it easy to make them do the 3-finger power chord. Plus, with a song like this, where they have to do multiple strings and strumming, it's easier to hit 3 strings than it is try to force your hand to only hit 2. And it just makes it better for them in the long run. So again, you might tell them that 17,000 times before it clicks and registers and they actually do it, but it's your job to give them accurate information. So the hardest part about this one is them doing the scratches and keeping the picking directions consistent. Every time you want to start with a downstroke, that's another thing that's hard for them to incorporate in their playing, but it is a fact of life. Okay. Next we've got, I don't have a delay pedal on here, which you do need for this to sound absolutely accurate. Scorpions, Rock You Like a Hurricane. This is their biggest hit, their most popular song. That's literally it. Most people don't get any farther than that, and they usually want to learn like that big 16th note run in the beginning, but that's not as important as the riff. We're just focusing on the rhythm guitar parts of things today, but that's the one you're going to get the most. Next one is Crazy Train. There is no more popular Ozzy song than this. That's literally it. There are a couple different ways you can teach this, but the easiest way is that last half of the riff. It's a 2-measure phrase. You can play it in 3 different manners, but don't bother with that, because you want them to get it as quick as possible. It's right here in open position. This is all downstroke. Yeah. That's all alternate picking. So, and if you've been playing guitar for very long and you're a rock and metal guy, you should already know that, period. That's just self-explanatory. Next one would be Judas Priest, Breaking the Law. This is actually cool that I'm playing this guitar, because my original teacher, Scottie, which I named this guitar after, was the first riff I ever learned. So, fucking thanks, man. That's literally it. It's very simple. It's an open position, key of A minor. And the last one we've got here is we're going to go with a clean tone for this last one, because it is a popular song. And there's a bunch of other popular songs. Of course, this is a short list, but this is the ones I've thought of from memory that I've gotten the most requests for. Is Hotel California. This is not power chords. It is not distorted until you get to the solos, but these are the chords. You got B minor, F sharp, A, E, G, D, E minor, F sharp. Those are all 1 measure apiece. Regardless if you teach them the strum pattern right, because it's an arpeggio thing, and there's a shit ton of guitars on that recording. So it automatically, it's hard to teach accurately with 1 guitar, plus you don't have a 12-string most of the time. But that's a real common one too. It's just a cool song, it's really popular. I'd say that's the Eagles' most popular song out of a shitload of hits that they had. So in addition to just showing you the basic riffs And again, keep in mind that every student's going to be a little different, and you're going to have to teach every student slightly differently. That's how I teach these songs generally, just to give them the basic idea where they're excited and inspired about a song they want to learn. And these are the most requested I get. And the only other tip I have for you for this lesson is that you're going to probably teach these songs so much, at least these little parts that I gave you, that you're going to want to write them out. I write everything out by hand still. I still need to learn how to use my Guitar Pro program, admittedly. But I've written these out so many times that I've had to make a mental note just to keep my old tab sheets and just make photocopies, because it makes your life easier. Bam, here you go. This is one you're going to teach all the time. Just have extra copies on hand. It'll make your life easier. So thanks for tuning in and watching. Please hit the bell for new videos. Subscribe, like, share. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Check out our sponsors in the description below. And we will see you next week.